I starred in a video on the deep web, fiction. When I opened my eyes I realized I could not move. Oh no, not this again, I thought to myself as my eyes shifted back and forth. Shadows danced across the room I shared with my brother. I wonder what my brain has in store for me this morning, as if these get worse every time I have them. I watched as an old man slunk into my room. He had no eyes, a bloody hook for a hand, and a disturbing grin on his face. He walked towards me slowly, exaggerating each step. His eyes got larger and darker as he stared more intently at me. Suddenly he was right next to the bed. Looking down at me, he got on one knee and put his hook in my face. I watched as blood dripped off the tip, having it fall on my face. Then he put the tip on my neck. Bye-bye, Titus. Something slapped me in the face. My brother. Bro, why did you do that? I asked annoyed. You had that look on your face. You were scaring me. I'm alright. No, you're not. I told you, it's just sleep paralysis. Everyone gets it eventually. I have not, he said all-knowingly. You're related to me, so you might, I said, patting his shoulder. Come on, let's get ready for school. I do not want to go to school, he whined. You have to, it's good for you, I tell him. We have this conversation every morning. It's essential you go to school. Okay, he whined, walking to the bathroom. I got up and got dressed in my usual black attire. I put my coat on and went to the kitchen where my brother was eating already. I take out a piece of pizza and eat it cold. When I'm done I usher my brother out the door. On the walk there we talk about school, and as we near his school, I watch him run ahead to his small group of friends. As soon as he gets there I run to my school and run to the library to try and finish my report before school begins. I type on the computer until the bell rings. I get up to walk to my class, but am blocked by a jock. Hey fuckface, he said. Hello parasite, I retort. Oh, haha, good one fuckface, he fake laughs, then pushes me back. I use this to make my escape. I run around him as he comes at me and practically races to my classroom. To make it just on time, the jock is not behind me. I complete my classes and go to the other side of the school to pick my brother up. Hey, how was your day? It sucked, he complained. Oh, why is that? I ask. Some guy came up and told all my friends that you got beat up by him. Then they started picking on me because they said that since you were weak I was weaker. I kneel down at him, look him in the eye and say, do I look beat up to you? No, he said, but I know you could beat up that jerk. I could, but I will not, unless he were to pick on you. Do not worry about me. And as for your friends, I walk over to them and ask them the same question I asked my brother. They said no. I replied with exactly, and walked away. My brother and I walked home in silence. I greeted my mother and cooked dinner. My brother waited patiently. My mother watched TV. It was silent until she said, your father will be home late again tonight. Typical, my brother said. My mother turned to him slowly and said in a low voice, you know that without your father, we would not have a house or food, so do not get an attitude with me, young man, or you will feel what it is like to have no father. I put dinner in front of my brother and say quietly, just let it go. We eat in silence and go to our room. I want to run away, my brother says as he kicks a pile of dirty laundry. You will do no such thing, I said, we just have to live with the resources we have. But it will be better without them. We can stow away on ships and travel the world and have adventures. Maybe you should write a book, it would be epic, but I do not want you to make it a reality. Okay, he grumbled. I pulled out my notebooks and started my homework, while my brother shot hoops from different parts of the room. Once I finish I throw myself on my bed and close my eyes. I woke up to crying, screaming and thrashing. I get up and look on the top bunk to make sure my bro was alright, but he was not there. I panic and run out into the hallway to see my brother being dragged on the ground by my stepfather. I run up to him and punched him in the face. My stepfather fell back, letting go of my brother. I picked up my brother and thrusted him back at the door, got up, and started running, but my stepfather grabbed my foot and started to pull me down. I kicked into him and got out of it like a Chinese finger trap, and fought as I yelled at my brother to lock himself in the bedroom and to open up when I yelled the code word. I kicked my father multiple times until he toppled over again. I run and yell the code word heartache. He opens the door and I bust in, close it, and lock it. My father came at the door. "You better open up this door, boy, or you're gonna get what your brother has coming to him," he screamed. "Please do not let him take me, Titus," my brother whimpered. Over my dead body, I yelled back without hesitation, but before he could force the words out, he stared as a crowbar slid through the crack in their door. Without hesitation, I hoisted my brother out the window and told him to run. I grabbed my emergency backpack and was getting ready to follow him, but was suddenly grabbed from behind. My father pulled me to the ground. "Why did you let that little shit get away?" he screamed. "To protect him from his own father," I yelled. He kicked me in the mouth. "Shut up, boy, you're not my own, so maybe this won't not hurt me as bad," he said, dragging me. I made an effort to leave the backpack in the room as I was dragged me down the hallway to the living room. "Here, take this one," I heard him say. "This is not the one you promised me, Henry." I know, but the little shit got away, so take this one and trust me, I will find that little useless boy. I will give you 1/4 the price I originally offered for this one." "Half." "You're not in the right position to argue with me, Henry," the man said, raising his gun to my stepfather's head, causing him to raise up his hands in defeat. As the guy continued to speak, "You should be lucky I'm even paying you at all for this one," he said, looking at me and smiling a menacing smile. "Take him, boys," he commanded, and like that I was swept away. As I was being pulled out the door, I noticed a muffled sounds of my mother banging on the closet door, screaming and begging for them not to take me, but she went ignored. I was thrown into the trunk of a limo. Thoughts raced through my head like cars on a highway. Half of them were of being exhausted, and the other half were of ways of escaping my demise. I was surprised when no more than 3 minutes later the trunk was thrown open. "Honestly, boys, this is no way to treat our new guest," I heard the man say as he stuck out his hand. "Come on out, boy, let me take a look at you." Without thinking, I took his hand and allowed myself to be helped out of the trunk. "What's your name, boy?" "Titus." "Ah yes, I did hear that poor woman mention your name a few times. What did you do to her?" I asked defensively. "Oh, dear Titus, that woman's fate is out of my hands," he said with a voice that lacked sympathy. I felt like throwing up. I wished in the back of my mind that she was unharmed. "Now Titus, let's discuss your fate," the man said snidely. "You're too old to be on my website, but you do have a boyishly handsome face, I will give you that." "You run a child pornography site?" I asked, disgusted. The man chuckled. "Haha, no, nice guess though, but no, my dear Titus, I traffic these children, make a profit, and the reason why I traffic the younger ones is because they are easier for people to teach, but why should you have to worry about all that? That is not your fate. Like I said, you're too old to teach, so what I want to do is put you on a less popular but still successful site, and you will be treated like royalty before you get bought, because, after all, you cannot let good meat go to waste. You're gonna sell me to a cannibal?" I said, aghast, taking this all into quickly. "Precisely, kid, or more like, parts of you," was his simple, straightforward answer. "You better enjoy your last days." I threw up. The thoughts of me being eaten by another human being contorted and took life in my mind. It made me sick to my stomach, it made me gag, it made me actually throw up my dinner. The action took the man by surprise. I used this opportunity to slam my fist into his cheek. The men who threw me in the trunk pounced on me, but I was quick to get them off. I took lessons in self-defense and Tai Chi. I know how to win. The two fell on the ground as they collided with each other. I grabbed the man by his neck and started choking him. Something hit the side of my head, knocking me over, allowing the man to scramble away. I looked up quickly as I saw one of the two bodyguards' foot. He stomped my head into the cement multiple times until my vision blurred, and I eventually blacked out. "Is he dead?" "No." "Good. I want him to suffer now." "Likewise," said the bodyguard as he tossed the unconscious boy in the trunk. "You really came through for me. You shall be rewarded greatly." "Thank you, sir. What do you want?" "That boy." A confused look spread across his boss's face. "I did not know you were cannibalized." "You must not know a lot about me, boss." "True." The boss thought a minute. "I will give you a discount on him. $70. The bodyguard's eye lit up like a child on Christmas morning. Deal. When I woke up I stared up at a wooden ceiling. I tried to move but I was tied down with what felt like leather straps. That was quite a display you put on, Titus, I heard an unfamiliar voice say. For a second I did not understand what he was talking about, but I realized he must have been talking about when I almost killed that guy, almost. It's good that I saved my boss, because now I can have you. The bodyguard? You seem surprised. What do you want with me? I ask angrily, growing tired of being tossed around by people. Pleasure. New thoughts came to my head. Am I gonna get raped? No, this cannot be happening. Do not worry, it's not what you're probably thinking, it's a lot worse, he said in a giggly voice as he picked up a hacksaw. What freak show was I dragged into? I could feel cold sweats running down my face. I was starting to panic. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. My voice was gone. My tears were rushing. My sweat was getting in my eyes. The bodyguard laughed gleefully as he put the hacksaw down onto my face, slicing my eye in half. My voice found me and I was screeching at the top of my lungs. I was blind in one eye. Blood formed a puddle in my eye socket. This is the end for me. I was gonna die here, in this room, with this deranged man who was now talking to himself. I looked up with the last of my eyesight and saw that, no, he was not talking to himself. He was talking to a camera. He was filming this whole thing. As soon as I noticed a man turned around throwing something, hitting me square in the other eye. It was the needle of a dart. I was now completely blind. I was screaming at the top of my lungs. All I could hear was the sound of my screaming at then nothing. Blood filled my mouth like a tidal wave. I started choking, suffocating as blood poured down my throat. He cut off my tongue. I could no longer mutter a sound despite my desperate wheezing sounds. I could hear the man more clearly now. Is not that better? Now I can better hear myself. And speaking of hearing, should we allow this subject to hear his untimely demise, or should we take it so he does not know what's gonna come up next? There was a pause and then giggly laughter. 47 of you voted for the boy to have his hearing token, but 179 of you want him to keep it, and some of you cannot seem to make up your mind. I'm talking to you 3 Shelby Lee Carroll at 783 Cornwall Street, South Carolina, Ashton Cooper, at 456 Wall Street, New York. And you Henry Falconer, the boy's father, 722 Copper Lane, Law. The recognition of my address must have changed something in my, what I imagined, miserable-looking face, because the bodyguard let out a howl of laughter. It was at this point I not only realized that he was not only filming this, but this was a live stream. Yes, that's right, my lovely viewers, this boy is special. His own father sold him for $1,500 to my boss. This boy was very skillful to nearly escape. But, alas, I stopped him by stomping his head on the cement a few times, which is something I quite enjoyed, and say, Henry, did you ever find that little shit? A pause. Still looking, I see, and when he finds them he's selling him to my boss for child trafficking. Well, at least if I do not find him first, he said, letting out a howl of laughter. I was dying on the inside. It's bad enough that this was happening to me, but if this happened to my little half-brother, I would never forgive myself in whatever afterlife comes after this hell. By now I could not tell the difference between tears, blood and sweat, but I knew I was crying. I know I could not speak, but right now I was screaming every cuss word in the book. A blade touched my neck and went cut down, slicing my shirt and skin in half. You're ripped, Titus. I was not sure whether he meant my shirt or my body, or if it was a crappy pun describing both. Next thing I heard was a searing sound as I felt a hot iron touch my body. I could not scream, all I could do was feel the iron, and there was not anything I could do to express my unbearable pain, but gasp and gag. The bastard rubbed that thing down my body, searing my skin. I wanted to die. You're hot, he said jokingly. I prayed for death. The man was laughing more and more as he did more things to me. He cut me multiple times, then doused my cuts with hot chili pepper sauce. He strung my nipples together as close and as tight as he could get them without tearing them out completely, then started stringing the thin string to hold up my penis. He made it to where every time I struggled, it would pull my testicles out of my body a little bit more. He then stuck needles into my outer and inner thighs. He cut off my fingers one by one, making comments and puns, and then asking the audience what he should do next. In between tortures, all I could do was gasp, pray, and listen until I heard the bastard striking up conversation with my stepfather again. I am getting bored with this subject, but before I finish him off, Henry, I want you to decide how to finish off the boy. He is your son after all. There was a pause. I'm sorry, can you say that out loud, Henry? My bastardly stepfather's voice rang out and echoed throughout the room. I said, burn that little deadbeat no good bitch alive. I heard the familiar bellowing voice of my father. No, 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 no. I heard the screaming from my mother in the background. Shut up, bitch, your deadbeat son was no good in the first place. Whoa, drama, the monster sang in a little sing-song voice as he cut them off. Well, you heard the man, burn the little no good deadbeat alive. Now hold on a second while I go and get my gas can. I heard floorboards creak as he walked away. I used this time to reflect on my situation. I tried to imagine what I looked like. I tried to imagine the sick crowd of people watching my demise. I prayed more and more that my brother could get out safe. My life flashed before my eyes. In my thinking, I heard something. It must have been my imagination. It was a whimpering, a crying. It sounds familiar. Titus, I'm so sorry. Was that? No, it could not be. Before he comes back, I am going to put you out of your misery. The last stab I received was to the heart. The last thing I heard was, good night, fuckface. The boy then turned from the corpse that once was his schoolmate he bullied, but he did not deserve all that. No, not like that. I never knew his dad was a sick fuck. Heck, I never knew my dad was an even sicker fuck until I decided to get something out of the basement today. All I knew now is that his and my father did not deserve to live. He turned to the camera and said, I know where you all live. I will find you. I will kill you for allowing this poor soul to suffer. People like you disgust me. And after I finish off your host, Henry, you're next. People were logging off now. The show was over. Only a few stayed to watch the host die, I suppose. I hid in my hiding spot as I heard the creaking of the floorboards. The monster who was once my father walked in. Oh, why did so many people? But I did not allow him to finish his sentence. I shot him in the head. Son, was the last words out of that pathetic loser's mouth. I stomped his head in until he was vanquished. Then I calmly took note of names and addresses of the people who viewed this event, poured gas around and on the two corpses, and lit it on fire. I walked away from my house as flames licked up the side. Titus will not die in vain. I will find them all. I will kill them all. As I promised. I will. Sadly, I will never get to tell Titus how sorry I am for not only how he died, but also how I treated him, and even more how I was too shocked that my father was doing this. I could have saved him, yet, seeing my own father transfer into that monster sent me out of my mind. Now what only matters is how I was gonna first find his no-good stepfather and even better Titus's stepbrother, because not only did I want to kill that man, but I also wanted to save his stepbrother and his mother. Maybe if I did this, Titus, in whatever afterlife he's in, could forgive me. And maybe even rip. The end. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button to support my work. And as always, enjoy the fear, my dear.